This is my EDC1200 Self-Education and Society Multimedia presentation for Assignment 2. I will be exploring the question, how might education mediate difference and dominance? This will be done through investigating the media coverage of Jessica Watson's solo, non-stop and unassisted sailing around the world. Was she too young? Were her abilities up to the challenge? To start, we need to define difference and dominance. Difference. Different from something else with at least 2 points of reference for comparison. Austin, 2010. Dominance. The condition of being dominant. Dominant. Exercising controlling power or influence. Answers.com. No date. Jessica Watson at the time when she sailed solo around the world was 16. Her ability to sail around the world unassisted came into question. The hegemonic power, in this case the media and government identities, asserted their dominance by discussing Jessica's abilities and the perceived lack of her abilities. The dominant hegemonic power, the axis of identity that relates to the social event age, and the zone of difference associated with Jessica being the youth at one point and media being the adults on the other point. As Jessica wanted to sail solo and unassisted around the world, she was met with disapproval as she did not fit the accepted norm of a 16-year-old girl. 16-year-old girls should go to school, do teenage activities such as spend time with their friends, listen to music, text for example. This norm being the centre of what the dominant society expects teens or youth to be, Jessica did not fit. Jessica had goals that are not normal for her age. People differ, and this was not really accepted by some media sources in relation to Jessica Watson and her goals. There was remediation from the media and government identities that were urging the Watson family not to let Jessica sail. The media was possibly girling Jessica, Hickey 2010, as they doubted her ability to sail the world unassisted. Media coverage of Jessica's voyage has been split. Many media sources have been critical of her attempt at a solo world journey, with only a few being supportive. Even the acting Queensland Premier of the time, Mr. Paul Lucas, he was urging the Watson family to reconsider allowing Jessica to sail. When Jessica returned from her solo voyage, she was welcomed as a hero. Tolerance was shown to Jessica, possibly due to the fact that in the beginning the media and the government identities could not stop her from sailing, and also now she was in the Australian social consciousness as a returning hero. Jessica has since been awarded a National Geographic Adventure of the Year award. On the slide at the bottom there are 2 links to media sources with differing views on Jessica's voyage. Ageism and the related concept of adultism relates to the negative media coverage and perception of Jessica Watson's abilities. Ageism. Discrimination against people on the grounds of age, specifically discrimination against the elderly. Adultism. Behaviours and attitudes based on the assumptions that adults are better than young people and entitled to act upon young people without their agreement. Is this why Jessica Watson was met with disapproval? Is this a case of adultism? Warner Ferguson has decided to sail solo, unassisted and non-stop around the world, like Jessica. He describes Jessica Watson as a courageous girl and admits that sailing around the world will be a daunting task. Would ageism be applied to Warner Ferguson due to his age, or would there be acceptance of his decision? I have searched for negative media coverage of Warner Ferguson's planned voyage, but I have not at this stage found any, even though he is 73 years old. Is that too old to sail solo, unassisted and non-stop around the world? There are some quite serious impacts of ageism on children, adolescents and young adults. These include a loss of confidence and integrity, a low self-image and a low self-esteem, a negative outlook on life, lowered optimism, undirected anger, anxiety and stress, a violent personality, inability to maintain healthy relationships with individuals of other age groups, depression, eating disorders for feeling of being overweight or underweight, anorexia and variance, overeating, binge eating disorder, excessive exercise in order to look fit, loss of interest, feeling of lack of direction in life, insomnia and suicidal thoughts. These are quite severe and can have long-lasting effects on children, adolescents and young adults. Jessica has been quoted as saying that Kay Cotty and Jesse Martin were inspiration for her solo sailing around the world. Jesse Martin was 18 years old when he sailed non-stop and unassisted around the world in 1999. Was there negative media scrutiny of his trip as well? It was stated that because of her age, Jessica Watson was inexperienced, unprepared and too young to sail solo. This YouTube video is a positive display reiterating that teens can follow their dreams and achieve their immense personal goals and display their great abilities. There are several types of teaching strategies and approaches that can be used in teaching and learning of ageism. The teaching approaches that would be used to teach about ageism in a Year 5 class are inquiry learning, constructivism, depth study. Inquiry learning. Inquiry is the process of developing knowledge and understanding by asking questions and applying skills associated with analysing, interpreting and evaluating sources of evidence. Constructivism, an approach to teaching and learning that has become increasingly significant during the past 20 years or so. Children construct their own knowledge, or rather, individual learners construct their own comprehensions. We are all active rather than passive learners. Depth study is a closer investigation of a particular topic which allows time for more detailed discussion. It provides students with the opportunity to develop and apply their skills. Lesson 1. Ageism Exploration. Watch the supplied YouTube videos. Have a class discussion of the videos, the treatment of young people in the media, and then introduce the idea of ageism in relation to Jessica Watson. This can help to identify the issue of ageism to the students and how it may relate to themselves and others. Lesson 2. Connecting with text. Start with revision of Lesson 1's concepts, the YouTube videos, and ageism. Assemble the students in small groups. Get the students to label ageist statements and situations that the students may have experienced that are in the media, online, or other circumstances that the students identify. Students are then to engage in connecting with the text, where they will make personal connections with the text while reading, making notes on connections to their life and experience. The students will then share their connections with the whole group, discuss and make comparisons between individuals' connections, make a poster of the students' connections and display. Discuss the concept of ageism and how it may relate to them and their peers to conclude the lesson. Types of text to include that relate to Jessica Watson could be YouTube videos, newspaper articles, online sources, for example. Lesson 3. Social experiment. Do a social experiment with the class. Divide the students into 2 groups, an older group and a young group. Further break these groups into 5 students groups. The older groups of children will engage in an activity that is challenging but fun. The younger group's activity is very boring and very basic. Make the difference in activities stand out. Regroup together and discuss feelings that the children may have from both groups. Record these on the board and discuss the implications of ageist discrimination relating to age and abilities. Reflect on these ideas as a group, although do not let the children know you are conducting a social experiment or it may not work. Further ways education about ageism can be incorporated into Year 5's teaching and learning experiences are: explore youth representation in the media, whether it is positive or negative, and how the students themselves would portray themselves in the media if they were able to. This could be extended by the students publishing a class newsletter or newspaper. Explore the talents and abilities of the students. Get the children to explore their own sense of self and focus on what they are and what they can do, no matter what their age. Reflect with the students on their abilities and what they can do with them. Broaden ageism, not just youth ageism, but ageism in the context of older people, ageism in the workplace, age victimization, treatment, crime, etc. Assumptions of lack of intelligence due to age, refusal of service due to age, assumptions of hearing deficit, etc. Discuss Jessica Watson's and Warner Ferguson, his planned, solo journeys and the implications of adultism in this case. Also explore the Australian identity and its signifiers of mateship, a fair go for all, helping out others, and how this relates to Jessica Watson. To conclude, by having ageism as a teaching and learning focus, this may help the students to open their mind to discrimination and its effect on people in the community. As a result of this teaching and learning, the children may be able to integrate their understanding and knowledge in a positive manner that reinforces the attitudes and beliefs of tolerance and acceptance of difference. Thank you for watching my presentation.